As much as I hate doing follow-ups, and as much as I hate any major news source, I hate the strong word, but also, do they do this on purpose? Like, this looks like the Joe Rogan washout. She looks extra, you know, sprinkly. But after the shooting and after the little quick, not really well enough researched on my part, or by anyone really, show that I did yesterday, a lot of people came out and said things. Some of the most egregious, the mayor and other folks like this, like Jen Sakai here. I know it's Saki, but it sounds very similar to the main character of Ghost of Tsushima, so I will call her Jen Sakai. But anyway, let's hear what's going on here.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki spinning this tragedy into an attack on President Trump's crime crackdown in Washington, D.C. Peter Doocy joining us live at the White House with more on this. Hi, Peter.
Bill, good morning. Jen Psaki did not wait for any information at all about the shooter or about the motive before she took to X to post the following. Prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers do not end school shootings. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. And then, when kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass, and your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy. Minnesota is blue statewide, and the governor, Tim Walz, wasn't ready to make such a big jump.
Look, I understand people saying that thoughts and prayers aren't enough, and from saying that from regular people, comments, people trying to sell me things. Thank you very much, but no thank you. Thoughts and prayers aren't supposed to look. I'm not particularly religious, but thoughts and prayers from regular people, it's pretty much all they can do, unless it's a situation to where you can donate or lend your aid in some way, shape, or form. As far as politicians goes, of course it's not enough. They should be putting anything on the books. I don't necessarily know what you can do as far as gun control, because taking all the guns isn't going to do anything, because then you're just going to be like England, to where knife crime and hatchet crime, which is going to be the main story for today, after this little follow-up here. But let's continue. But yeah, none of that's going to end anything. People who want violence are going to do violence. Yes, guns make it quick to where you can do it from further away and such, and you can have more mass casualties. Takes longer for people to overpower you. But people who are going to do these things are going to do them. Guns are loud, so once you get the first shot off, there's going to be things that happen. People are going to react, whether they scatter or they start coming at you. Whereas knife crime, you know, if you're on a subway or a bus, a few people may go down before you get overtaken. But let's continue.
Receiving a call from President Trump, who was with his leadership team of the Attorney General and the Vice President, expressing their deep condolences amongst the horror that happened and an offer to provide the support to the folks here in Minnesota of what's needed.
On the Psaki point about the National Guard, Vice President Vance is telling USA Today, we don't want indefinitely to put National Guardsmen on the street of our cities. We just want to make sure those streets make those streets more safe. And even Democratic D.C. Mayor Bowser agrees.
We greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do.
Could erode some of the trust that residents have with the Metro PD department, the normal beat cops that'll be here long after the National Guard.
Okay, so that's the end of the Jen Sakai thing, apparently. So moving on. Let's momentarily, I'm going to move this up here, and just look. People were putting out all kinds of crazy things. People were saying she was left wing. People were saying this person was right wing, and they were all doing it by only showing part of what this person had laid out. Again, like I said yesterday, it was an orgy of evidence, and from what I've learned from watching all the criminal shows with women I've dated, is that an orgy of evidence is usually a bit, you know what I mean, a bit sketch.
What is this? They just clipped you completely out of context?
I didn't mean to click on that. How did that get on my... Oh, well. Anyway. But I don't know how this Asmongold clip got put on my show topics, but no, people were taking it all kinds of things. People, and the only one that had it anywhere close, I think, would be maybe Cenk Uygur, where he was saying everything. He was saying that this person was an anti-Semite, anti-Muslim, anti-Christian, anti-everything, LGBT, conservative, liberal. Like, he was basically just saying that this person is everything. What the hell is even going on with all this evidence? But a lot's come out. Some people have been saying that a couple of news sources have said that Governor Walz pulled basically a George W. Bush in that he knew things were coming and that the Catholic Church had been asking for a few security things from them for a while because there have been more than one attack. Not necessarily on this church, but just in general. But I don't want to say that. That's more of a rumor, really. But yeah, anyway, moving on to the next deal. RFK came out and said this, and people are freaking out, like this gentleman right here. He said nicotine does not cause cancer, which is true. Nicotine doesn't cause cancer. It can lead to certain heart conditions and such, but it doesn't cause cancer itself necessarily. This is more or less true, even though it can cause gum disease. This is debatable. But then this gentleman says that cigarettes killed a bunch of his family. It's just, and I tried to explain to him, like, no one ever said cigarettes weren't dangerous. They just said that, nicotine, if you find just a nicotine source, it's less dangerous than cigarettes with all the carcinogens that are in there, like the tar, so on and so forth. But anyway, moving on to today's story. Let's see what Sargon has to say about what's going on in Britain with the little girl who got a...
Things are heating up in Britain, and honestly, I think that it's going to come to a head at some point when someone on the other side does something terrible, because I think that's really where this is going. I mean, as you can see, the flag campaign is still going very strong. It's being called contentious by the mayor of Manchester, Greater Manchester, which is great. And then, of course, we had this video of the two sisters going around. The one with the knife and the axe being the younger one, who the older sister is trying to protect from an immigrant who is filming and harassing her. Now, Basil here is right to point out that you hear the fear in their voices. I'm not sure how exactly to put this, but this is evidently not the first time that this has happened to these girls. They didn't choose one day to go out armed and then happen to coincidentally bump into a migrant who was going to harass them in the streets. This has clearly happened before. Yeah. God only knows what's happened to them before, which is why they felt the need to arm themselves. So,
and there's a lot of speculation on this as well. People are saying, and again, when people are talking about this, no one is saying that all migrants or all immigrants are bad. It's just that some of them with them bring other kinds of things. Like there's alleged grooming gangs going on in England, mostly targeting girls of this age. But let's continue.
I'm not surprised that they sound terrified, frankly. And yes, she was, of course, arrested for brandishing dangerous weapons.
But she clearly has
But of
no
course,
idea what
the
she's
migrants
doing.
are just fed to the wolves, as Charmaine here points out. And this was in Scotland as well. This wasn't even in England. But this is...
And yeah, this girl was arrested. Like, there's multiple sources saying that the gentleman who's holding the camera has harassed these girls before and may or may not be connected to some of these grooming gangs. But the girl was arrested for brandishing knives because that's where Britain is these days. They went for the guns, and now if you are caught with anything trying to defend yourself, they've also outlawed pepper spray. So people there have no means of defending themselves other than just pure brute strength, which, you know, considering some of the other weird laws that they've passed to where there's no catcalling and such, it kind of makes you just think about things like, what are you doing, Britain?
This is just the reality of being in Britain, and in fact, Europe more broadly, but I'll cover that again tomorrow on the podcast. The authorities are here to make sure you are under control. They don't really see the new arrivals as being under their legitimate authority. They've got their own customs, they've got their own ways. They have a different way of looking at the world, and you are a racist. So you are the one who's policed, because you, it is expected, will cooperate with the police. And this really does just hammer home the point, doesn't it?
Looks like
when daughters need to arm themselves against new arrivals on the streets, how much longer can liberals pretend multiculturalism is working? And moreover, is there a limit to the number of children that they're going to sacrifice to their ideals? And the answer to that, you and I both know, is that no, there is no limit. There is literally no limit to the number of dead or raped children that the liberal will say, you know what, maybe I was wrong about this. Maybe actually this isn't what I was after. Maybe actually people from different places on the earth are actually different and actually not compatible. They will never, ever back down from this, you know.
I mean, I believe that to an extent, because a lot of these places don't have the separation of church and state as we do, and their religion in a lot of places is completely in control. But a lot of people are leaving those countries because of those reasons. And people should always be free to practice whatever religion or not practice as they see fit in the Western world. But at the same time, you should be expected to adhere a little bit, at least, to Western traditions as far as, you know, clearly no animal or human sacrifice, no certain other things that I'm hearing from a certain country. So in one, I believe it was, it's somewhere in or around Pakistan. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I just saw a story and I cannot find it for the life of me. But someone's sister, and then as punishment, they allowed him to their sister. I haven't been able to find the report. It was from a major news source, at the very least. You know, someone who is well thought of, and I fact checked it, but for the life of me, I don't know what happened. It's not in my search list anymore, but which is probably for the best. But anyway, continue.
But you see this kind of
I do love
mythologizing of this young lady going around, and this is lovely. This, and it is nice that our American friends are doing this.
Like a William Wallace,
but it is
sponsored
a
by
damning indictment
Nike,
of what is happening in this country. And the AIR makes her look honestly braver than she was. It's not that she's not brave, obviously, but she's also terrified. She's also deeply afraid.
She was absolutely terrified.
And I saw people saying, well, you know, women voted for this. It's like, well, look, man, she's like 12. She didn't vote for any of this. This has been done to her. Yeah. And honestly, many of the victims of multiculturalism are in the same boat. These are people who are not people who chose to have this. They were way too young to make any choices, and they had it inflicted upon them. So anyway, we're in the position where this meme is not even inaccurate. You can either defend yourself and get arrested, or you can leave yourself to the tender mercies of the imported rapists. And the government knows which side they're on. They know, and they've made the choice.
Okay.
Then you get other people pointing out, the reason this photo resonates with people is because we are beginning to understand the physicality of the conflict. We are abandoning abstractions after years of deludedly believing we could vote our way out of this mess. Well, the thing is, it will still be voting that does actually resolve this in the end, to be honest. Believe it or not, I know that a lot of people don't hear it, but we will end up voting a hard right government into power, and they will eventually denaturalize and deport millions of foreigners who are allowed to.
And that is the main takeaway from any time any government, no matter it be state, country, or something as large as the European Union, anytime one single party is allowed to completely take over there's always a massive pendulum swing to the other side, and it's always it's taken two ways. One, it's partially the fault of the previous power, what the next power does. But at the same time, the previous power will always use it as justification for everything that they did in the first place. So no one ever learns anything, and no one ever learns, common ground or learning anything. Yes, sup, man. But no one ever learns anything from these things. And there will be, just like there's been a a right wing. I mean, some would say white wing, but a right wing shift in the U.S. A lot of this was brought on by the last crazy shift, and some would argue that Trump was in office 4 years ago, that was mostly a right wing shift as well, but it really wasn't, because the left wing and liberals had just been kind of snowballing to the point where we lost Joe Rogan, we lost Tim Pool. A lot of these people who are now called hard right people. I mean, I'll say, I can kind of see where some people would maybe call Tim Pool a bit of a shill, or what's it called, a grifter. I don't really see him as that, but I can definitely understand why some people would, especially people that don't watch his show regularly. As someone who's watched it quite a bit over the years, seeing him slowly kind of turn to the other side, and the same thing with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a leftist. He's on the verge of at least socialism. I mean, he's been a Bernie Sanders supporter forever, and people are always on the left are always saying, "How do we get a left-wing Joe Rogan or Tim Pool?" Well, you've had them for forever. You did this. You've kicked, and now they're trying to bring, all these ploys to get men back. Like Disney currently, sorry, side tangent. Disney's currently trying to get men back by finding a new IP just for men, and I'm like, you've already had them. You had Disney, you had Marvel, you had Star Wars. They were heavily, male oriented. Not to say that women can't enjoy them and such, but and there's female fans who don't even like it anymore because they've gone the way that they've gone. No one has ever said women aren't allowed in Star Wars. No one has ever said that women aren't allowed in Marvel or comics or anything. It's just the kind of stories, and they really use. Where am I from? The South. My apologies. But yeah, no, people, they've been in comics for years, and people are just using women and such as shields for bad storytelling and bad writing. And now we're seeing another shift in that. I mean, to be honest, we're all somewhat at fault for that. I agree. Right now, lefties are the more extreme source, but we've seen this before. I mean, and honestly, as I've said many times, I've had people who used to call me the F slur for gay people. I've had them call me a homophobe more recently because they were on the Christians' conservative side when that was in power, and then as the tide started shifting, they became hard leftist, whether it was to rebel against their parents because they were young when they were conservative, and then they became liberals as they moved out and got their own thing, or they have no thoughts of their own. They just go with whatever's in charge or in power. And a lot of people say that they were good things if they ever gave them power, but then they get given power, and all they do is do the same thing that was done to them to other people. It's really sad. But anyway, tangent over. Let's see what Sargon has to say now.
Come here against our will. That's how this is going to end up going. There isn't going to be some sort of race war as it is. There will be sectarian conflict, but it won't be directed by the states. It won't be something, or there won't be armies fighting over things. It won't be a civil war as we traditionally understand it. But eventually, a hard right government, democracy will limp along, and eventually a hard right government will get into power with promises of just removing these people from our lands. And that's what will happen. Because again, I know Americans and Europeans have trouble believing it, but the British Parliament is completely sovereign. We can do with it what we want, and we just have to have the will to make it do the things we actually need it to do.
Sorry, there's a comment on Kick. I'm not from Europe or from the U.S., but as we see it in Europe, it's just falling, and it's not because of immigrants, Muslims or blacks. It's the lefties who expect them and vote with them. No, I 100% agree to an extent. I don't blame immigrants for any of this. They're being used as pawns, and it's not right. They're being given all these things. I mean, come on, if someone gave you free access to a country that's inarguably way better than wherever they're from, otherwise they wouldn't have come here, and given free housing, and given if they want work, they get free work. If they want medical care, they get free medical care. And then in a lot of areas, especially these big blue cities, they're given pretty much free reign to do whatever we want, whether it be in England or we see certain things all across America. And it's not those people's fault necessarily. It's the people for letting them get away with stuff. I mean, take a look at kids in America. You see the difference between stern parents who are way over the top and their kids turn out nuts. Parents that get well within decent parenting and their kids turn out fine, and then the parents that let their kids do whatever they want and just at most give them a timeout, and their kids turn out to be leftist. But it's completely insane, and people never see this, and they never see that the immigration laws never get changed. They never see anything like that. All they see is the left and right fighting, and then they choose a side when they're both retards. The left's a bunch of retards, and the right's a bunch of retards. It's just how it is, because no one ever really pushes for change at all. I mean, Obama campaigned on change his first term. No real change ever happened. I voted for Obama. Obama's probably the only president I ever voted for on his first term. I didn't vote at all for the second term because I thought they were both pretty much saying the same thing, and I was just like, we'll see what happens. But yes, no, I completely agree. It's not necessarily immigrants' faults or anything. They're being coddled, and they're being told that they can really do no wrong. And when someone's told that they can do no wrong, then they just do whatever the hell they want.
But anyway, so you, of course, are aware that the Restore Britain Rape Gang inquiry is underway, and my goodness, already, they haven't even released like any major findings yet, but already that Charlie's involved with it. And he says, we don't know the true scale of these atrocities, but this new data, you can be sure there's only 1 or 2 degrees of separation from you to someone directly affected. 85 local authorities across Britain have Islamic rape gangs. And of course, Elon here,
I agree
the Quisling collaborator.
They're a part of it. Sorry, replying to comments. I agree they're a part of it. But like I said, they're pawns. That's basically it. Like, they're not, this is a much better spot than EU. No, I agree. The U.S. is doing much better. Mostly because, thankfully, look, I got no real love for Trump, but he's definitely better than most Republicans, and love or hate what he's doing, he's one of the few presidents who actually does what he campaigns on. And regardless of whether or not you like what he does, you have to at least respect someone who sticks to their word as much as possible, except for the Epstein thing.
Should be charged with aiding, rape, and in some cases murder, and spend a long time in prison. They absolutely should. And that would be a lot of Labour Party councillors and MPs who would go to jail for a long time if we lived in a country that actually valued the sanctity of our children. I mean, the Conservatives could have done this at any point, right? The Conservatives could be like, wait a minute, are these Labour councillors actually, and all these Labour-run police, are they all involved with the grooming gangs? Oh, they are. Oh, well, you guys are in trouble because we're sending you to jail forever, is what they could have done. But no, it takes the independent movement, Restore Britain, hopefully funded by Elon Musk, to actually get any motion on this. But like I said, we're going to get a hard right government at some point, and man, I tell you, when it comes, the whiplash is going to be brutal. Yeah. Absolutely brutal.
And I absolutely know that I'm not going to very much enjoy the hard right, 100%. Because as I tell all my gay friends when they ask me whether or not homosexuality is a sin, they ask me this like I go to church, and I'm always like, yes, most things that are fun and people enjoy doing are sins, yes. And I'm not going to enjoy if we ever do get an actual hard right government, because what's going on right now is not hard right by any stretch of the imagination. Trump is not a conservative. Trump is just Trump. And if we ever do get pushed in that direction to where we go hard right, I don't even want to imagine.
Nick Dixon is correct to frame it as the greatest atrocity in our history, and it really is. It's genuinely hard to think of anything worse that has happened to the British people, and mostly it's in England, but you can see it's in other areas as well, Scotland and Wales, Northern Ireland. You can see, and like I said, this is just crazy, absolutely crazy. But it's always the same profile, it's always the same people, and apparently it was going on since the 1950s, they have found. So the moment that they got here, they started doing it. Now, one might ask, well, what are things like in Pakistan for young women and girls? Well, who knows? Anyway, Elon said that he would like to help fund the legal actions against corrupt officials who aided and abetted the rape of Britain, as per the official government inquiry. Please reply below for consideration. The thing is, this isn't an official government inquiry. The Labour Party did say they were going to hold an official government inquiry, but of course, what's that? Crickets? Yes, we've heard nothing on it. Absolutely nothing. Rupert Lowe and Restore Britain are the only people actually doing anything about this. I mean, Nigel Farage said he was going to do one. Where's that? What happened to that? Again, disappeared into the ether because really it's not a big deal for them. But of course, you've got loads of people giving some great suggestions on how to help and things like that, which is wonderful. And it would be great if Elon were to support these people and support getting this done. That would be amazing. And it would be like, thank God we've got someone somewhere who cares, right? Because really that's what this is all about. It's just a lack of giving a damn about what has happened to the children of this country.
Yeah.
But again, you can feel the momentum rising. You can feel the pressure building. This isn't going to be something that they're going to be able to sweep under the rug. Too many people were hurt. Too many lives have been ruined. Too much has happened. And this is what the flagging campaign is about. It is this overall sense of sovereignty of the British people, in particular the English people, over their own country. We have been abused and taken advantage of for far too long. And you can feel the time is coming that this is not going to go on forever. This is definitely coming to an end. And Elon, of course, has spotted that Nigel Farage is once again...
Look, I love Chris Reagan, but this is a stupid take. I'm sorry. Like, again, thoughts and prayers. You can tell the difference between an atheist who studied and did all this stuff and what I like to call the piss off former Christian atheist. It's just that they think that, and a lot of Christians portray it this way, especially people who have been duped by evangelists especially. Like, I've got no love for Christianity. I'm not particularly religious to say, but that's not what prayer is for. Prayer is there to make you feel better about a situation, to make you feel that you're not alone, to make you feel, certain ways to try to uplift you into getting out of that situation. But this is just really, really dumb. I'm sorry. I love Chris Reagan. I've followed him for years through the original Gamergate and the whole deal. But no, it's not there to, you can't pray for things and expect to get them. And that's what happened to a lot of people, especially dumb Southerners. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love the South. I'm from the South. But I know people who have prayed for a better life, and then they keep making really stupid decisions. And then they're like, what's up, God? You're just hoping that some divine power will come and swoop you out of stupidity. But I'm sorry. And like I said, Chris Reagan, he's a really smart guy. I watch him on Sacred Symbols podcast and other things. He's a really smart guy, and I understand he's got a whole history with religion, and when his sister died, he got tired of hearing people say, God's will and all that, which I completely understand. It's not the thing that you want to hear when the closest, most precious person in your life has been killed. But this is a particularly dumb take. No one ever said that if you pray hard enough, bullets will stop like you're Neo from the fucking Matrix. Like, for the love of God, come on, man. And I do love Chris Reagan. Most of his takes, like 99.99999%, I agree with. The guy's brilliant. He's a great YouTuber. If you haven't, follow him, especially some of his old stuff. He mostly does Sacred Symbols podcast, and I think he still does the podcast with Tom Sweeney and some black dude. That's his YouTube name, some black dude. but I'm not 100% sure. The YouTube algorithm kind of kicked them off my thing. Either that or they stopped doing it, but continue.
Again, behind the times. Now, Nigel came out and said that he was going to deport 600,000 illegal immigrants in his first year. Why so low? Why not more? We know that there are at least going to be about 2 million illegal immigrants in the country, but there are going to be, and the rest, you know, what about all of those other ones? Why not deport them all? Like, go through the communities with, like, deportation squads. Let me see your paper. Are you illegal? You're illegal, right, get out. Because these communities are an anchor to the illegals. So the first thing you do is stop benefits, stop housing benefits, stop access to the NHS.
Okay, I agree
and
with
then
that part.
you just
They
go through
shouldn't
these
be getting
communities
all
and
these
start
benefits.
making sure the people...
At least for as long as they get them. Like, I'm all for, especially if they're refugees coming here to get out of horrible situations. But just like with regular Americans, you're not. The point of these programs isn't for you to suckle on for the rest of your life. You come here, they help prop you up until you can stand on your own. That's the whole point of a lot of these programs. And people just kind of forgot that over time because the government loves being in charge of everything. They want to be in charge of our money. And I still don't understand how, if you're getting government money, why it's still being taxed. I've never understood that. But I don't think that every immigrant should be kicked out by any means. And most people on the right or in the middle like me, former lefties, don't believe that either. Illegal immigrants, you know, if they had good reasons or whatever, or if they've started the process of their green card or citizenship or whatever, they should be allowed to stay or work out some kind of deal. But everyone else, especially the ones that are doing crimes, of course, get them out of here. But anyone in the process of doing things the right way, 100%, they should find a way to make them stay here. They should make the way to become a naturalized citizen or a green card holder easier, while at the same time making sure like their screening process is pristine. I don't know how long those processes take. I'm not an expert by any means, but that's just my belief. We are a melting pot. You know, bring me you're tired, you're poor, and that whole thing. I mean, the French can take the fucking statue back because you're pretty much being destroyed by all these policies. But we continue.
Who are here legally, then you deport them. Then you denaturalize the Boris wave and deport them too. And the combined efforts of manually removing them, the illegals, and just turning off the benefits will just encourage millions of them to just leave. They'll just go. Because they'll realize, oh no, wait, the British state isn't just going to pour gold into my pockets and punish the people who object to this now. They're actually now, I'm on the outside now, and the British state is working for the British people, so actually I'm just going to leave. And this would be such an easy series of wins for Nigel. But of course, Elon's got his number. Unfortunately, the reality is that Farage will do almost nothing to protect Britain. That is obvious. He called it back in January, or whenever it was, I think it was back in January, when he said Farage isn't the guy, and he's right. Existing law is clear that anyone who is an accessory to aggravated rape or murder, especially of children, is guilty of a serious crime and must serve time either in prison if a citizen or be deported if not. The government simply needs to enforce the law. Now, of course, a Labour government would never enforce this law because there'd be their people they'd be sending to jail or deporting. But a different government could easily do it, and Nigel Farage could easily commit to this. He could easily commit to doing this to the Labour Party. But as Rupert said, no, he doesn't have what it takes. Ben Habib, no, he doesn't have what it takes. Again, Advance is Ben Habib's party. Go and join it. It's the best we've got.
I don't know a whole lot.
So go and help him out. Go join it. Why not? What harm can it do if we have somewhere politically that we can go to? But again, like this is all things whose time are coming, and you can see how Farage. A year ago, he was saying to Stephen Edgington, oh no, mass deportation is not feasible. I don't want my name attached to mass deportations. It's not my ambition. To now, I will mass deport 600,000 of them. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, really? Why is that? Because the tide is turning, right? The pressure is building. They can't just call you a racist. They can't just diffuse this. Things are way too far gone for that. And so things are slowly but surely changing. Good evening, folks. I think I'm live. Let me just confirm. Let me just check.
Oh, that's a whole other video. But yeah, that's more or less. I was going to do a longer format show today, and I was actually going to start on the whole Ethan Ethan Klein situation. I'm not just doing world news. I'm also doing, YouTube or whatever you want to call content creator news. Just because a lot of it's interesting. I don't know why. I mean, call it the guy that, always saw people fighting and just kind of watched it. Like, I was a big fan of World Star, even though I know I shouldn't have enjoyed watching those so much, or any of the. I mean, you read a few tabloids, you look at a few covers, mostly when you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Back when you did that, but yeah, my Ethan Klein series should start with the whole legal situation between him, Denims, Frogan, basically the Hassan orbiters. I've been following all of them. Well, not the orbiters, but I've been following Hassan, Ethan Klein for a long time. Ethan, from when he was very well liked by everybody, well, more or less. He's always been kind of slimy, but not nearly as slimy as Hassan Piker. I never liked Hassan Piker, not even when I was a huge Young Turk fan. But yeah, so I'm going to probably start on that. I'll probably do once or twice a week. One or two of my shows a week will be about the Ethan Klein situation, unless something big happens on those days, just like it has been this week with the shooting a couple days ago, and then this whole thing going on in England. But anyway, so this has been the show. Yesterday, today, I think is what I'm calling it. I don't know. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I figured I might as well just do things and see how people react. If not, I've got 4 people watching right now. Yay. I'm sure most of them are on Kick. I'm sure most of them are people who want to say, hey, man, are you tired of talking to nobody? Here, send me money and I'll send you people. Sure. But no. Yeah, this is going to be it. I'm going to be doing one show pretty much every weekday morning. I might do a Saturday show if there's a story that I missed or that I really wanted to do. And just see where it goes. My main goal is I want to collaborate with a few people. I want to be able to talk to people about things that I talk to a few people at work or in my personal life about and talk about on here. People that I've watched for years, including hell, I'd love to talk to Chris Ray Gun someday. I'm sure he won't like me because I'm an old ass retard on the internet. So, but anyway, that's it for me. Just remember, people aren't going to like you. People are going to talk about you. Don't let them get to you. Don't be rude to them back. Just, who cares? They're jerks anyway. If they don't like you and you haven't given them a reason to, they're assholes. Fuck them.